Mayor is ready.
I'm calling this meeting to order Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Public comment. Is there a roll call, please?
Councilmember Kong,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Mahovey, Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Here.
Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Thank you.
Public comment. Is there any public comment? Being none, we will move into closed session, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code 54957, title Fire Chief. Thank you. Good evening. I am opening the session tonight at 6:16 PM, Monday, July 11th, 2022. Our invocation tonight is given by Pastor Jake Evangelist of the Neighborhood Church in Bishop.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, we woke up this morning blessed. We woke up in Bishop, California to beautiful weather, beautiful mountains, beautiful sky, water surrounding us. And Lord, it is our honor to live here, to be in this wonderful place that we have the privilege to call home. Father, this council has just been leading us, has been doing a great job. We ask that you just continue to give them wisdom. We ask that you give wisdom in this session today and tonight. Father, I thank you for those who are going to be honored tonight, the Dondero family, along with Cody Lawson. Lord, I just thank you for them saying yes and the new chapters that they are going to embark into their lives. And so, Father, we just ask that you bless each and every topic tonight. And we thank you and we love you. Give us wisdom and thank you, Lord. Amen.
Please join allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kong.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Mohovi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Here.
Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Thank you.
Public comment. Notice to the public. This time is set aside to receive public comment on matters not calendared on the agenda. When recognized by the mayor, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Under California law, the city council is prohibited from generally discussing or taking action on items not included in the agenda. However, the city council may briefly respond to comments or questions from members of the public. Therefore, the city council will listen to all public comment, but will not generally discuss the matter or take action on it. Is there any public comment tonight? Okay, no public comment. There were no actions taken in our closed session. And we'll move on to introduction of park facilities lead worker, Willis Dondero.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and of course, members of the public. I'm pleased to announce that we did hire a full-time lead worker for the Bishop City Parks. And with no further ado, this is Willis Dondero. He has been with us for almost about 10 years as a part-time worker and is now a full-time lead worker. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Okay, and now we have an introduction of police services technician, Elena Dondero.
Good evening, council, mayor. So in trying to keep up with the trend of hiring members of the Dondero family, the police department was lucky enough to be able to hire Elena Dondero. She has spent a lot of time working with the Paiute tribe in their juvenile justice program. And we were able to hire her as our police service technician. But in regards to that, we're also going to see where we can branch off and take on some other duties and take our program to another level. And I think she's the person to help us do that. So I'm going to go ahead and step aside and let her say hello.
Thank you guys for having me, and it's a great opportunity to be here and be able to branch off with Chief Standridge. I did work with him in the Juvenile Healing to Wellness Court program, and so we hope to expand.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining the City of Bishop.
Welcome.
Welcome.
All right, and now we have an introduction and swearing in of Police Officer Cody Lawson.
So again, I wanted to take the opportunity to do our introduction, and since he is going to start work this week after graduating from the academy, and he was kind enough to take a couple of weeks vacation and kind of decompress after that 6-month long sabbatical, I would call it, since, you know, they didn't do much obviously in that academy. But we're glad to have him back, and he's ready to get started. He didn't want to take any time off, but I was kind of insistent, the lieutenant and I think it's important to, you know, reconnect with family and friends after something like that. For those of you that know Cody, I know Jim had the opportunity, or Councilman Ellis had the opportunity to work with him for a while. But for those of you that don't know him personally, he's been with the department a little over 9 years, around 7 years as a police reserve. So he has served in a dual capacity for us. And when we talked about going to the academy, it was always a discussion with Lieutenant Ellsworth and I, but also we talked to Cody about it. And we were convinced that he was ready to go to the academy, but in taking on an endeavor like that, not only is it a huge commitment and cost to the city, it's a huge commitment and cost to him, but I wanted to make sure his wife and children were able and ready to take on that extra task and realize how it was going to upset their life as they were moving into a new facet of his career, but also at the same time with him not being here and the multitude of things that, you know, can go with being separated geographically like that. So needless to say, he made it. And now we're going to take the opportunity to swear him in. And I wanted to do it here. So thank you for allowing me to do that. And hopefully this will start a trend that we do this more often, but not so much a trend that we're always refilling employees. So Cody, if you'll step right out over here. Okay, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Cody Lawson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to pin on Cody's badge, but before he does that, I'd like him to introduce his family to council because now they're part of the team.
Thank you, council. Thank you, Mayor. This is my wife, Lena Lawson. And then my daughter, Sloan Lawson, my son, Cage, and my mother-in-law, Maria Sabasco.
Hi, welcome.
Now she gets to do the duty, and if she stabs him, not my fault. Awesome. All right.
Right.
What about it?
How do we want to do it?
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Now we'll go sign him in. I'll get out of the way. So
Cody,
keep going.
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Always, sir.
I have to call you sir now,
However you feel, sir.
huh? Some background, Cody, he started, has called me sir, and I've asked him to call me Jim, every name in the world, and is sir on phone calls. He knows my voice, sir. So I give up.
Sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations,
Awesome.
you'll do great.
Yeah.
Thank you. He does to
Okay.
everybody.
Moving on to presentations, a presentation of the Tri-County Fairgrounds Poster Contest presented by Eastern Sierra Tri-County Fairgrounds Chief Executive Officer Jen McGuire. I don't know if it's going to be Jen. Yeah. No, Karina said she couldn't make it either. Yeah.
What do we have?
Will you introduce yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Marlo Morgan. I'm the office manager of the fairgrounds. And I'm here with Taryn Mitchner. She's actually the artist of the
Ooh.
fair poster this year. We had several submissions, but hers was chosen from our fair board, employees, and volunteers. So this is Taryn and her poster.
Nice
Like-
job. Well done.
All right.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. Thanks.
Karen, are you a student in high school and middle school?
No, I'm homeschooled.
You're homeschooled. Nice. Well, wonderful job. Thank you. Yeah.
Did all the times you came to paint class help?
Yeah, my aunt helped me.
Good job.
Thanks for
Looks great.
participating. Well
done.
done.
you.
Is Jeff here? Is he going to give a presentation? Is he
Is
zooming
he
in?
on
Okay, so.
Zoom?
All right, next up, we'll have a County of Inyo update report prepared and presented by Second District Supervisor Jeff Griffiths.
Hello, everyone. I am on the road, so I am participating via Zoom. Nice seeing you all. So I will give first a brief update about the fire that we had a few days ago, and I'm sure Chief Dell will update you on more of it, but I want to give you an update on the county side. So just briefly, there were 9 homes lost in the Fairview fire, including 25 structures. Fortunately, there were 0 fatalities or injuries amongst the civilians, although there was one firefighter who was injured, but recovered completely and was discharged from the hospital. Some livestock were lost, and some more livestock had to be rehoused, and we want to thank the fairgrounds for providing space for those livestock. The county opened up an evacuation center at the Bishop Senior Center, where people who showed up were met by representatives from the Red Cross, and both the county and the Red Cross are working with affected families in order to make sure that they have a place to stay and that they have the things that they need in order to work on the way towards recovery. The road closures were lifted by Saturday afternoon and the power was restored, but there is still no phone or internet in the area. And I'll let Chief Dell update you on the other issues. The county will be declaring and ratifying an official emergency for that tomorrow at our meeting. In other news, I think I may have mentioned in the past that Amaka had possession of 25 trailer/mobile homes, and we're in the process of transferring those to allied agencies so that we could house folks in our area. 5 have been transferred to Mono County, 11 are currently being transferred to Inyo County Health and Human Services, and 9 are being transferred to our local tribes. Beyond that, we've been really busy with a lot of boring but important stuff, including updating our Board of Equalization policies and our purchasing policy, but also we are in the middle of a CAO search as CAO Leslie Chapman has announced her intention to retire. So we're working to fill that position. We are getting closer to having an adopted housing element. I've talked about this several times, so I'm not going to rehash the things I brought up before, but Inyo County's number for the unincorporated area is 205 housing units, 46 very low, 40 low, 39 moderate, and 80 above moderate. The state came back with a whole bunch of mandates of things that they want us to do, and so I'll just list the new stuff. They want Inyo County to create a safe parking program. They want us to explore a vacancy tax for vacant residential areas. They want us to regularly meet with our regional partners, including City of Bishop, Town of Mammoth Lakes, and Mono County. Continue to facilitate dialogue with Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, Forest Service, and BLM about creating some land. They also want us to create a promotional program for accessory dwelling units and to allow for accessory commercial units in residential areas. That's all I have for my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
Kind of excited about what the state is asking you. Two of those
Well,
things
yeah.
especially.
Few of those things are exciting, but they don't tell you how to do it. They just say you have to do it.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate your time and your report.
All right, sure thing. Take care.
Okay, moving on to department reports. Updates on department activities will be given by the department. Fire Chief Joe Dell.
Mayor, Council, good evening. How are you guys? So wanted to update you on the Fourth. The Fourth in the Park was a very successful event. We had bands and vendors and games and bike parades, topped off with a super fantastic fireworks show. Let's see, estimated a few thousand in attendance. It's hard to guess exactly, but there's not a bad spot in town to watch the show. Unfortunately, I missed the finale because we had several brush fires at the same time. So we worked on, putting out small fires. So this year's fourth weekend, we only had 13 calls over the entire weekend. Only a handful, a total of 4 vegetation fires. So it was a good year as far as that goes. We look forward to the Derby and the 9/11 stair climb, our next big events coming up. And there are always quite a bit of work that the volunteers put into it. And so we're excited about that coming forward. And then, of course, as Supervisor Griffiths mentioned, we had that large fire, where the 9 homes were lost. We had units on scene within 7 minutes. The first engine was on scene within 12 minutes of the call, or I'm sorry, within 9 minutes of the call. We had water on the fire within 12 minutes of the call. Getting there was already 3 structures heavily involved with a strong wind on it. And we actively started fighting fire in the Fairview Circle Street, and were pushed out of the street because of the amazing amount of fire and pushing. We ran out of water. We had 3 engines on scene and 2 water tenders within that first 20 minutes. And just getting that water established was tough. Early on, we called for backup. I immediately made calls to all my Inyo County fire chiefs that we work really closely with, and immediately made calls to the Mono County Fire Chief OES coordinator, who made some calls. And we got help from as far south as Alancha, they sent a water tender, and from as far north as Antelope Valley and the Mountain Warfare Center sent apparatus. As the apparatus started coming in, we set up a water tender shuttle. And as that water tender shuttle started moving a large amount of water, we have we call it water on wheels operation, where we're able to pump over 1,000 gallons a minute, because the water tenders were doing laps between the fire hydrants and the Indian Creek water and the Bishop water. And then they have DWP had a draft site set up. And so once we were able to get above that 1,000 gallons a minute consistently is when we were able to make an impact on the fire. So our partners for this call were amazing. Really a lot of work by a lot of different people. Too many to name, but if you can think of an Inyo and a Mono County Fire Department, they were there. Bishop PD was there. The CHP was there. DWP had water tenders, CAL FIRE, Forest Service. I mean, just you name it, and people were helping out. We were donated food and all sorts of great stuff. The outpouring of support. County stepped up with Red Cross, and we're helping the displaced individuals. And they still have some time to get the help that they need going forward. And we spent the next 2 days cleaning up, overhauling, patrolling, and working through that neighborhood. Still lots of paperwork to be done, still lots of reporting and finalizing, damaged hose from having to withdraw from the neighborhood, and some other repairs on trucks that happen in these big fires. So kind of working through having that large incident. Initial dollar costs are well over $1 million, if not more, probably closer to 2 million in losses total. And then cost of fighting a fire would be up there as well. So quite a bit when you start looking at these large incidents. So 9 homes, a total of 13 acres. CAL FIRE took the vegetation side of things to make sure that the fire didn't run into any other neighborhoods. There was some significant worry about it going across Line Street and into the McLaren area. They were able to stop it before that were to happen. And then the local volunteer departments kept it from going back into the other. So really proud of our guys' work. I saw the pain and sweat and passion in their eyes as they were unable to, make that first hit, and they were pulling the hoses back to start fighting fire, and that, kind of pushing back and getting pushed back and getting pushed back until we finally had that water supply to get where we are. The one injury that we had, there was a smoke inhalation. He was transported by Simons, assessed in the hospital, and then treated and released, and he's back to full duty already. So other than that, great job, and I'm open for any questions.
No, thank you for saving the structures that you saved. It could have been worse.
And definitely thank all the volunteers.
Yeah, they absolutely did an amazing job.
Okay, thank you. To Police Chief Richard Standridge.
Good evening again, Mayor, Council. Kind of want to go over my monthly report and talk about a couple of important things that have come up. So last week I attended a meeting over at Toyabe with the members of the Tribal Education Center, talking about doing a law enforcement career day with the tribal youth at the end of this month. We're going to participate. Still ironing out some logistics and some details as to what level of participation it's going to be. And when I get the exact finalized dates, I'll get information out. We're kind of looking really forward to being involved. It's going to encompass a presentation followed by maybe some basketball, some type of interactive activity with the kids to get, out of the uniform a little bit and interact, which I'm really looking forward to. Staff will be participating in that. So also, as Chief Dell alluded to, the fire on Friday, we had personnel on scene helping with traffic control and evacuations. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our other law enforcement partners, Fish and Game, Inyo County, Mammoth also, Mammoth Police had an officer down there helping. We had investigators. I mean, if there was anyone that was in any type of uniform on duty or off duty, as Lieutenant Ellsworth, who was home off duty, heard the call and responded out there and was helping assist on scene. So I want to thank him as well for listening to his radio and being that diligent that he left home. When he easily could have not have done that based on the personnel there, but he chose to respond to the scene and assist, and he was a big help from what I understand. I also want to talk about the fireworks show. It went off pretty well. A little bit of confusion as to our safe and sane fireworks allowed there, but we have new personnel this year, and a little bit of confusion there, and we got lined out on that rather quickly. The beer garden went off without any issues at all. It was really well prepared, really well maintained by the fair staff. It was a really nice venue. So I think looking forward, I definitely would ask council and city administrator to consider, those type of events moving forward in our park, because I think it was just an added bonus for our community members that wanted to take part. Also, we just completed the flooring and furniture in the PD. There's still a couple of pieces that are yet to arrive and some technology projects still to be done, but I encourage council to take a stop by and take a look at our furniture that is here in our flooring. I have transitioned to Suite F. That's where my office is now, and it's completed. And I tell you what, I can't thank Sports Services Manager Rich Watt and Lieutenant Ellsworth enough for organizing that up and getting it done. I mean, it was a monumental task, and they were able to get that done, and there's still some lingering projects that they're handling in addition to their normal duties, and it's just fantastic. I can't thank either one of them enough. Mr. McElroy and I met with Terrence this morning and did a press release regarding all of our graffiti issues at the park, which, you know, we talked about at the last meeting. So just council being aware that that'll be coming out when Terrence completes the tomorrow. Okay, so it'll be out tomorrow, just so council's aware. I thought it was important, and so did Mr. McElroy, that we get that out there, because our efforts, in my opinion, are falling short. So now we're going to ask the public for help in helping maintain the community's park, community's restrooms, and things like that. And I think when they hear some of what we had to tell Terrence, I think it'll really spark an interest in helping their law enforcement and city personnel maintain that. I attended the Junior Livestock Show. What a fantastic event put on by the fair staff. The kids were great. It was really, really, really good. I was happy. It was my first one, obviously, I got to attend since being here. And I think that's about it, unless council has any questions for me, but I do want to cover one thing real quick. I apologize. Councilmember Mahovey hit me up looking at our calls for service for 911 for the month. They're quite a bit down, if you'll notice in our monthly report. The reason is there was a glitch in the state system. All of those calls are logged in by the state, not by us. So the calls we received, but when we go back, and that's where we have to pull our statistics from, is the state. It's called ECATS, is the system we get it off of. And if there's any glitch there, the calls will still come through. They just don't record them for statistical purposes for our numbers. So it happens from time to time. It's rare, but it does. So anyway, that's kind of what that issue was, if you notice that in the report. But does council have any questions for me?
I don't have any.
Now I was just checking the badge byline, and I just wanted to make it clear to the there were actually arrests that were made for illegal fireworks going on.
Yes, there were.
So,
Yes, there were mortar rounds. We did, and that was Officer Zimmel. And for those of you that know Officer Zimmel, he is a very, very experienced officer with a wealth of knowledge as it relates to the penal vehicle code. And when he sees offenses like that, he takes them very seriously. And so I think it maybe moving forward, we look at next year as to maybe how we can step up that enforcement. I'm kind of kicking around some ideas that we'll talk about as we move post fourth into our next phase, and then start looking at that again.
Great.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Next up, Community Services Manager, Dan McElroy.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. You do have my report, but I did do some highlights and I did some extra notes for you guys. So please indulge me just for a few minutes here. As you know, our front restroom was totally destroyed due to an arson incident. We are working through that with our insurance. That is more or less in their hands. We're waiting for them to come back to tell us the assessment of damages. So we'll be coming back to council within the next, hopefully, month with a formal bid process to get that entire restroom renovated. Next up is our summer camp and our highlights. For that, our summer camps, our city camps have 40 to 41 kids in each one. So we run 8 sessions of that, of which we've, you can see on my list, we're already, I think 4 down and 4 to go. So we're about halfway through the summer. We also reached out and we did a co-sponsored city camps as well. So we actually have 8 of those for older kids from 8 to 12. And we run about 10 to 12. We're just kind of feeling the waters on that older kid demographic. So, and those are full as well. So all of our summer camps are full and going well. For the 4th of July celebration, I just need to say thank you to everyone who sponsored and everyone who helped out, from the Bishop PD, LADWP, Bishop Fire, of course, the Bishop Chamber, the Arts Council, and Grocery Outlet was huge for us. They are a great partner for us. So. Upcoming events, Friday night markets, you know that we hosted one on Academy Street last Friday. I just haven't heard any real feedback from it, but I didn't get any calls, which I guess is a good thing. So looking forward to hosting a first Friday night market for the next couple of months. I'm also pleased to announce that we are going to be hosting in the city park It's going to be a Latino Conservation Week, which is in partnership with the Friends of the Inyo. And it's called Shepherds of Today. And they will be having some sheep in the park and going over basically the lifestyle of a sheep herder. So it's that'll be a great event. And that's happening on July 23rd. And then just a quick note on our Prop 68 per capita grant. We have a site visit scheduled for the 25th of July at 9 a.m. So I believe that's the last hurdle before we can receive our funding from state of California. And then lastly, I just wanted to bring council's attention to is we have wind events, the large wind events. As the summer has been going, it just kind of seems like that's the theme for the year, is we do have a tree management plan in place. We do a 6-month assessment of all the trees in the city and the city park, the ones that are on our property, with a certified arborist, which is Eastern Sierra Tree Services, our contract service. So we do walkthroughs on every tree. Of course, safety is always the first issue that we look at. Secondary would be long-term health of our trees in the city. With large wind events and the drought conditions, we do have to reassess on a more frequent basis. So as these large wind events come in, or we see stress in trees, they're always available to come and do an assessment for us and look at those items. And that's all I have, unless the council has any questions or comments.
Are the first Friday night markets going to go through October? Is that the plan?
I believe so. They usually schedule 4 and they skip the first one.
Okay.
When I attended it, it was great.
Was it great?
It was great.
Cool.
There were lots of new food trucks there. So definitely next one, go with an appetite. And when she said that there were at least 3 more that were going to happen.
Great.
Excellent. So, thank you.
Right. Thank you. All right. Associate Planner, Economic Development Coordinator, Elaine Kabala.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. You have my report, but I thought I'd just provide a couple of updates on the projects that were included. The first being Sterling Heights. Staff has been working with the property owner for a couple of months to prepare a application to go before the Planning Commission. And I think we're ready to take that to the Planning Commission this month. So I would anticipate seeing that on the agenda soon. Secondly, we've been working closely with Visionary Home Builders in Inyo County. Visionary is the developer for Silver Peaks, and they are applying for Housing and Community Development's SuperNOFA, which is a major funding package for affordable housing. So we've been assisting them in any way we can in submitting that application to make it as competitive as possible. I'm really hopeful that they're able to get that funding. It'll be pretty essential to the development of that project. I wanted to also let you know, you may remember in 2020, the city partnered with Inyo County and the Bishop Chamber of Commerce with a matching grant from the Sierra Business Council to prepare a visitors study that would develop statistics and demographic analysis of tourists in our area, as well as a better understanding of the economic impacts of tourism in the Eastern Sierra, with the study area being from Lone Pine to Bishop, and then including the major destinations. We kicked that study off like March 10th, 2020. And then we closed it like 3 days later. So we've relaunched the study. It's entirely virtual this time. We have posters up and down the valley. Tawny did a wonderful job with outreach through all of her mailing lists and contacts. And over the weekend, it sounds like we already kicked off on Friday. We were hoping for a sample size of 500 over the summer, thinking it would be very hard to get people to respond. And we got 600 responses over the weekend. So we will continue to hold that study open through the summer. And then once it's completed, looks like probably in September now, that information will be compiled and we'll have a presentation for your council at that time. That's my report for this evening. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Question?
One quick question. So what Sterling Heights currently zoned as?
I think it's R2000. So
why does it need to go to the Planning Commission?
So R2000 allows for a density of 1 dwelling unit for every 2,000 square feet of land area. And so it exceeds the allowable density by lots of units. I think the lot's like 40,000 square feet. So that would be 20 units, and there's 72 units proposed, so it exceeds the density by 50 units. Also, it's a pre-existing non-conforming use, which means that Sterling Heights was developed sort of right before Bishop adopted zoning and put it in place there. It was permitted by the City Council and Planning Commission at the time as an assisted living facility. And so among other things, it was
Parking
designed with
requirements.
that use in mind. So there's 30 parking spaces for 72 units. The city requires 2 parking spaces for every dwelling unit. So that also leaves it short 120, 110 parking spaces. And so we've been working with the property owner to mitigate some of those impacts instead of just allowing it by right.
Okay, any other questions? Next up, City Administrator and Public Works Director Dustin Deschamps.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First off, some public works related stuff. So the city has been as a city project to enhance irrigation at the wastewater treatment plant. That project has been moved forward by the IRWIMP, the Inyo Mono Regional Water Management Group, at $100,000. It's been Prop 1 money, so we've made it through the competitive process at the local level, and now we'll go to the state level. It is pretty much a sure thing because the projects were selected that would fit within the $2.7 million that we were allotted for our region. So that's a good sign for that, and also with the BAWA too, but the city side of that. Just a quick update. We've had numerous complaints about, I would call it a foul odor near the canal and Johnson Drive. Just so everyone knows, the sewer district had some issues with their digester. And then during the digester going sour, they lost the boiler. So they're trying to get their plant back up and running right now. So they are running again. It just takes a certain amount of time before the biology starts working inside the digester. Let's see. And then I guess on the other admin side, the senior planning job has closed. We received 3 applications. I've assembled an interview panel and should be having those interviews in the next, I would hope we can set them up in the next couple of weeks. Public Works Director interviews tomorrow night. And again, still continue to work on the personnel rules and the council policies, which we're getting very close. Hope to have something for you on personnel rules by the next meeting. And then lastly, I just would like to remind everyone that the state has asked, hasn't actually mandated, but has asked for a 20% reduction in water use. The city of Bishop was able, we were at 13% reduction last month. So we're working that way since that request has been made. If you all remember in 2015, the governor requested 25%, mandated a 25% reduction, and we were able to meet that. So, and the citizens of Bishop, the water users have continued to stay at that lower number. So getting 20% more is going to be a little bit of work, but we're making headway towards it. And unless you have any questions of me, that's all I have.
I have one question. You mentioned in your report that you've been still working with Frontier about the encroachment permits. I know, some east side of town that all the work has already happened. Do you have any updates on how their progress is going, when they plan to complete the whole city?
So they are well ahead of schedule. I think they're on permit, and they needed 6 permits. They just applied and we issued the 4th. So, I'm assuming that, they expect it to be October 1. I would say that they're probably ahead of that schedule, but probably more likely October is when people will start being connected to it. But yeah, the project's moving along really fast right now.
That's exciting. Okay, thank you very much, Dustin. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters under the consent calendar are considered routine by the city and will be acted on by one motion. Do you guys have any questions on the consent calendar?
A comment on the Public Works report. on water. Consumption was down 13% compared to 2011, not 2013. Just a typo.
Okay.
It was down 13%. So the 2013 is the year that the state has chosen that we compare to. Yeah,
Okay,
so that, it does seem funny, but the state has chosen to base the
but
2013.
no typo there.
No typo. They just,
Okay.
they did that in 2015 and they decided to continue to use that number.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any public comment?
I'll move to accept the consent calendar as is.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote?
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Great. Moving on to new business, selection of 2 storefront cannabis retailers, administration planning.
Good evening. Again, Mayor Schwartz and council. Before I begin, I just want to let you know that Mr. Matthew Eden from HDL Companies, who assisted us with the selection for the evaluation of the applications, is available on Zoom. And just to go over the procedures for this evening, I will provide a staff report with the background of the process and the application evaluations. And then we will receive presentations as required by our ordinance from each of the top 3 applicants for consideration this evening. At that time, I will ask the applicants who are present to step outside during the presentations of the applications preceding them. So with that, in 2001, the city council approved an ordinance that would permit 2 storefront cannabis retailers and 2 non-storefront cannabis retailers.
2021. The 2001 council did not approve that.
Thank you. 2021. We're off to a good start. Yes, 2021. The state of California would have permitted it in 2001. Those 2 code sections are sections 5.32, which governs the application procedures, and then 17.79, which governs the location and the zoning for cannabis retailers in the city of Bishop. Pursuant to that ordinance, city council will make the final selection of the 2 storefront and 2 non-storefront cannabis retailers. So the item this evening is for the council to consider the applications we've received and make a selection about which of the 2 retailers will move forward in the process. We are not here to revisit the ordinance that has been codified. Pursuant to that ordinance, the city council adopted application procedures for the selection. I believe that was in September of 2021. And then following that, the city opened a 60-day application window on November 1st and closing on December 31st for storefront and non-storefront applicants to provide their applications to the city. Because of the date where the New Year's Eve holiday fell, the city did extend the application window for 10 days to accommodate people who were unable to get in and over the Christmas holidays. The city received 3 applications for storefront retailers, and we received 0 applications for non-storefront retailers, which would be delivery businesses. The 3 applications that we received included the following companies with the following locations: Alluvial Management LLC, doing business as Ascent LLC, with a proposed location at 174 North Main Street; Nug Holdings One LLC, with a proposed location at 175 South Main Street in Bishop; and Eden Holdings LLC, with a proposed location at 187 South Main Street in Bishop. Following the closure of the application windows, the city contracted HDL Companies to provide third-party evaluation of the applications and to assist with following the procedures that we had crafted through the ordinance and adopted by resolution, make sure that we were following those and to help with the interview process. The staff and HDL used the following process to evaluate the applications. The first step was property clearance to ensure that the property meets the site requirements of the retail cannabis ordinance. Each of the locations that were proposed in the applications before you today are over 600 feet away from any of the sensitive uses, and all are required in the general commercial C1 zoning, which is allowed. The application submittal needed to include the application form, description of the neighborhood and site plan, floor plans and elevations, identification of any sensitive uses near the proposed site, a neighborhood compatibility plan, a business plan, a security plan, a labor and employment plan, and a description of community benefits that they intend to provide. The applications were scored by HDL companies, and the scores are included in your agenda packet, though I will provide the final tally in a moment. Following the evaluation of the applications pursuant to the procedures that were adopted, there was interviews held by the Cannabis Review Board and facilitated by a compliance officer at HDL companies. The Cannabis Review Board consisted of the city administrator, also serving in the capacity of the Public Works Director, the police chief, and planning staff. Again, the results of the interviews can be found in your agenda packet, but as I said, the final scores were for alluvial management. Their final application score was 100%. Their interview score was 98.5%, and the final score was 98.5%. NUG Holdings One's application score was 95%, interview score was 97%, and the final score was 96.75%. And Eden Holdings LLC's application score was 89%, the interview score was 76.8%, and the final score was 82.9%. Following the presentations from each of the applicants this evening, staff or the council can deliberate. Obviously, the applicants are here to answer any questions you have. If the council chooses to make a recommendation of which two, up to two, can proceed into the next steps, those will include background checks, which the police chief had advised we wait until this step to conduct the background checks on the final two applicants, and then negotiations of development agreements with the city. As I said, Mr. Eaton from HDL Companies has joined us via Zoom. He would be available to answer questions regarding procedure if that is something that the council has additional questions on. I am also available to take any questions at this time. If there's no questions, I can ask that the applicants that are not going to be presenting will please leave the council chambers. They'll be presented in the following order. First, Alluvial doing business as Ascent. Second, NUG Holdings LLC. And then third, Eden Holdings LLC. They are welcome to come in and watch the presentations once they have completed their presentation to the council. And then following that, there can be additional council discussion. This concludes my presentation at this time. I'm very happy to take any questions the council has. Thank you.
Elaine, I have a quick question. Can you comment on the actual interview part of it? What information that was not necessarily in the application packets were you trying to glean out of the in-person interview process?
It was an opportunity for the applicants to provide any additional information that might not been in the application package, just to have a broader understanding of their operations, their labor plan, their familiarity with the region, how they intend to do business, and then for staff to be able to ask additional questions that we might have that might not have come out of the process at that time.
And that interview process was the score that was determined from that, was that by the members of the interview panel, or was it again by the HDL consultant?
The staff that was on the interview panel each individually ranked the application, and then those were compiled into the final score. Yes,
Elena, I had a quick question and I didn't have time today, so I apologize. These are storefronts, but they're also allowed to deliver?
they're not allowed to deliver. This is for storefront only.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
And we had 0 applicants for delivery.
Correct. Okay. If there are no other questions, I'd go ahead and I'd ask the applicants to go with Mr. McElroy and would invite Alluvial doing business as Ascent to provide the first presentation. Mr. Calvert will be joining us online. He had prearranged travel plans, and so we're willing to accommodate him. Thank you.
Great evening, Mayor and Council. Hear me okay?
A little choppy, but yeah.
Okay, since I'm in a remote location, I will speak slowly and I'm going to share my screen through our presentation. Let's see here. Desktop 1. Share. System preferences.
While Robert is doing that, I'll introduce myself. My name is Paul Rudder. I am Mr. Calvert's partner in the alluvial business and the business. I have been a resident in Mammoth for about 40 years, but before that, my first home in the Eastern Sierra was here in Bishop. In 1975, I came to work for Indian Legal Services and then went into partnership with Judge Forstenser, where, among other things, in the late 70s, I was the city attorney for the city of Bishop. So I have some roots here in Bishop, California, and it's a pleasure to be here and return to those roots.
I see that on my screen, you've got our presentation up. Can you all see that?
Yes.
All right, so let's start with that, and I'll just talk everything through. And I appreciate your willingness to work with me this evening. Now, Ascent, we're really excited about this opportunity to work with Bishop. As you know, I've been working on this for 3.5 years now, so this is a great opportunity to present to City Council this evening.
Uh-oh.
Well, we anticipated that Zoom might not work perfectly, and with that in mind, I brought some copies of the program, if I would be allowed to hand those out to you.
We have
got
them.
him.
We have them.
Yeah, go to the next screen.
He's back.
I'll drive.
Well, once again, since we can't hear Robert, this is the existing
Not hear me?
shop location. Robert? Or not.
Are you on the next screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. So this is downtown, our proposed location. So I've got 3 subjects that we're sharing with you tonight: our proposed location, our business plan, and then our community benefits plan. So this is our location at 174 North Main Street, right in central downtown, near Line Street and Main Street. We're really excited about this location. It's great size. It's 2,900 square feet and zoned commercial general. We've got parking, which is in the rear, which will be our main entrance. And then there are nearby public lots for parking. So that will not be an issue at all. And I know that that's always a concern for any new retail units. Specifically, also, one thing that we really focused on is our location relative to sensitive uses. And as you can see here, we're more than 1,300 feet from the nearest sensitive uses, which are the business, the high school, and then also any daycare centers and parks. So if we could click on to the next slide, please. So here we can see that our Main Street artist rendition of our store, the new signage, which will meet any the new City of Bishop code for the signage. We're really excited about this. The exterior improvements will show a really nice presentation from the street side, repainting and tasteful signage. No marijuana leaves or neon displays. Lighting is always an important thing, especially for security, and also to create a nice presentation and welcoming environment to all customers, including anybody that is part of the community downtown. At our exterior landscaping, depending on what the Main Street plan is, we are willing to plant small planters along the front side of the building to add any curb appeal. And then going to our security measures, we've got on-site security during the day and during open hours. And our security system is 24/7. So we will have exterior cameras recording anything outside, also including interior as well. And this will help to limit and also avoid any loitering or any sort of nuisance. And if we could go on to the next slide, please. Here you can see some interior artist renditions, a very nice open lit shopping environment for our customers. And then the lower portion shows the check-in area, which will be coming in from the rear, which will be our main entrance. And then once they come in, they'll come into an open shopping experience. And all the products, of course, meeting with the city ordinance, will all be sample products or no particular real products on the floor. All cannabis products will be secured in our limited access areas behind the counter. So really nice, well lit, up to date shopping experience for all of our customers. That's really our proposed location, and real nice tenant improvements. So let's go on to the next slide, please. Talking about our business plan. So one thing that I really take a lot of pride in is I have a significant amount of cannabis experience. I opened the first cannabis retail store in Mono County in 2010. So I've been doing this almost 14 years and have been awarded several cannabis permits throughout the years, ranging from retail to manufacturing. And so also, along with Paul Rutter as my partner, being an attorney and a business owner, combined, we bring tremendous experience together to really make this a wonderful experience and a solid business for all involved. And part of the business plan that we're focusing on is hiring locally and creating career opportunities for locals and hiring them at wages which exceed the living wage. And so it's real important that who we bring on is with us for a long time, and they can provide opportunity for their families and provide income for the whole program there. And then looking at our timeline here, today we're in July, and we plan on hopefully opening by the end of this year in December. And right now we're currently still in the evaluation period. And if we're fortunate enough to receive a permit, we're going to work with the city to work on the development agreement. And then we've got tenant improvements, which probably take about 3 months. And then by the time we get towards the end of October into Thanksgiving, we're looking at inspections and grand opening, hopefully around Thanksgiving, or hopefully by the end of the year, 2022. Can you still hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next slide, please. And thank you for working with me on this. So here we go. Yep, business plan, hours of operations in accordance with the ordinance, 8 p.m., 21 years and older is what we're looking at welcoming our customers in. And we have standard operating procedures that we work with in our store, and it includes updated legal regulations, not only with the city of Bishop, but also with the state of California. And they're constantly being updated. In fact, there was a new law that just got passed. It's going to be addressing new state taxes. So we have to keep up to date with all those things. And of course, working with the city of Bishop on the development agreement is really important. We're going to offer a variety type of products, from flour, vapes, edibles, concentrates, and accessories, all in a tasteful manner. And we work with many of the top state manufacturers, and they're all listed here from Stizzy to Canacraft and Kaliva and Kiva. So really excited about the opportunities and the wide variety of products that we'll be offering at the City of Bishop. And then let's move on to the last community benefits. So this is really something that we're really excited about, being a part of the community. And anybody can really write a check, but something that I really take a lot of pride in is being a part of the community. And volunteering hours is something that our staff and our team will immerse ourselves into the community. And we took great pride in already being a premier sponsor with Mule Days this last Memorial Day, and that went off with great success. And we donated $5,000 there to be a premier sponsor. And then starting from left to right here, we've already made contacts with Eastern Sierra Foundation and looking forward to being a Pioneer Partner Program sponsor, $10,000 annually. And then working with EMACA, an additional $10,000 with their Silver Peaks project. And they have several programs that they obviously work with there. So depending on how they want to spend the dollars that we donate and how our volunteer hours want to be directed, we're willing to work with them and modify this in any way whatsoever. And then there's the Mule Days right in the middle, and then working over with the County of Inyo, County Healing through outdoor activities, $10,000 there. And a lot of that is worked directed towards the youth programs. And then finally with the Bishop Unified School District, an additional $5,000 there. So I understand, that obviously educating the youth on the dangers of cannabis use or how to help or direct them away from it is really important. So these are the programs that we've reached out to and engaged with already. Certainly, when we get going forward in our development, City of Bishops would like to help establish further relationships with. We're willing to work with the City of Bishop on that. And the next slide is the final ones. Thank you very much to all of you in working with us this evening. So, Paul, if you want to fill in any additional.
I'll use up the
comments.
last minute or to us. I am not involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. I am just a partner with Robert. But my interest is twofold as regards the City of Bishop. One is we're just businessmen. We can do a good job of this. We have the most successful operation in Mammoth. We've never had any trouble whatsoever with the community or the police. We contribute to the community, and we propose to do that down here. So there are two things. One is we'll pay the city a lot of taxes, and that's only appropriate. But more importantly to me, our community involvement and contributions are something that we're very proud of. We're going to do by contract. We will be making those donations every single year. Back in Mammoth, my wife and I have been part of the community with regards to donations. This year was my 37th consecutive year of giving scholarships at the high school. We take giving very, very seriously, and we look forward to belonging in Bishop and contributing to everything that's important to Bishop. And we want our business to be a focus for that. So thank you very much for listening to us tonight.
Thank you.
When I
Thank
can
you
answer
very much.
Yeah,
questions
yes.
you may have.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
we can ask questions. Yes.
So I've been appointed to start, I guess. So first quick question that occurs to me is you said the back door would be the main entrance. So they will be allowed to come in the front door as well?
No, there will be no entrance on Main Street. Only entrance will be from the back.
Okay, great. My other question, I guess, is more of a statement. When I was looking at your methods of giving, some of it will have to be adjusted because the projects you have here under IMACA do not exist in Amaka anymore. They're all the housing ones that Amaka's not doing that anymore. So some of that will have to be, if we go forward, will have to be approved.
Our commitment will be to give 10,000, and with the community's help and Amaka's help, we'll figure out where that can go.
And then my last question is just something that was in one of the summaries of the sections, the scoring sections. It says, all distribution of cannabis goods will be done by a licensed third party and vehicles used by a said third party. So since there's not delivery, what are we talking about here?
We won't be having a vehicle for anything.
Can you hear me at all?
Deliveries, like deliveries to their store.
Is that what you mean by that, deliveries to the store from your
No.
warehouses?
Well, deliveries to the store, yes.
Okay.
Yes, right.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I wanted to make sure I understood.
We won't be making any kind of delivery.
Right. I just wanted to see what that meant. So good. Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I would like to say something. In contributing to the community, and with the current economy in the country, with shortage of staff in every industry, and when you have some businesses having a difficult hiring employees at $20, $25 at any entry-level position, I would like to see a business like this starting their employees at more than $16 an hour. I know it's more than the legal minimum required, but as I said, when you have shortage of employees in every industry, and when you have here locally in Bishop, businesses having difficulty hiring people at $25 an hour, it's something to think about it. Thank you.
Councilman, I assure you, our goal will be to pay a living wage, not the minimum. And what we want to do here is not to just create jobs. We want to make careers. We want to hire local people and promote them within our organization and have them be the assistant managers and managers and basically run this operation for us. That's the way. Having a group of people together, we're like a family up in Mammoth, and we intend to be a family down here. The success of each member of the family is something important to us.
I understand. Thank you.
Actually, I do have a question because I was unaware that the main entrance was going to be in the back. So there's no entrance on Main Street. You're
That's
saying,
correct.
Right? My concern with that is that the back entrance is actually, right now, it goes up against an alleyway. So can you comment, and it's a kind of a like L-shaped alleyway, which is very conducive to loitering. Can you comment on any mitigation measures to prevent loitering, given that that would be your main entrance?
Yes, I can. We will have blanketed with cameras, and for any time before the sun comes up or after the sun goes down, it will be blanketed with lights. So anything that goes on there will, whether it's day or night, 24 hours a day, will be in full view.
Okay, make sure those lights are dark sky compliant, please.
Yes, of course. But, and we'll also work with the local police department to make sure that nothing is going on that interferes with any of the businesses in the area. Although I can tell you, I first gave Mr. Calvert his opportunity back in 2010. I was the owner of the shopping center. I took him on as a tenant. I was concerned, just as you are. And said, a bunch of dopers in a parking lot or something, will that, discourage other customers? I was concerned about that. In all those years, I never had a single complaint from another shopper, local person, tourist, or business owner in the whole time. People come in, buy what they want, and they leave. We've never had any problems with people consuming marijuana in the parking lot, smoking it, anything like that. Not a single occasion. The one time there was something criminal that happened, somebody came and vandalized some of the other businesses, our security cameras were able to identify the perpetrator for the police. And as we've explained to your police chief here, we won't require a warrant. Somebody from police wants to look at our videos, our films, they will be given the royal treatment to come in and look at it whenever they want.
You have any questions?
Not so much a question. Robert, good seeing you. It's been a while.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I went to Ascent I did a tour with Robert years ago when this first came. I think Karen, you were the only one on the council at the time. And you kind of set the bar for me for what you guys do. The story is the pictures here. Okay, those look great on pictures, but I know that you actually do that because that's kind of the bar you set. So I don't have really questions. Are you going to follow kind of a lot of the same? You already have established procedures, basically in Mammoth. The check-in, I mean, I had to show my driver's license there more than I do anywhere in my life. And it was just, it was well done. You're going to follow the same kind of procedures and.
Well, there are certain procedures that are now set by state law.
Oh, it was done well.
And we will be identifying everyone that comes in that door and making a record of their identification.
And one quick question, Rob. When we were in your store, my wife had questions, and the
Salute.
training, the training that your employees had was amazing. Are you going to continue that, the education component? So if someone has a question, walking them through exactly what they're buying, what they're doing.
Well, in point of fact, our employees will be very well trained to advise the customers on questions they may have. We will also have a set out in writing procedure if there are any complaints from anyone, whether it's a customer, an adjacent business person, a tourist in Mammoth, whatever it might be. We will have a written procedure to follow to deal with that complaint within 24 hours. And Robert and I will be the final backstop, as it were, to make sure that policy gets followed. And if contact with the police is necessary, we'll do that. But it won't be an off-the-cuff kind of thing. It will be all arranged in advance, and our employees will be trained in that regard. Now, just to calm your fears, we've never had a problem in Mammoth. We've never had a complaint. We've never involved the police in any way, shape, or form. I have a law license on the line here. I did not do this lightly, but after 10 years of experience with Robert and his store, I was pretty confident that he ran a very tight ship and I wouldn't have to worry. And that's why I'm here today.
No fears, Mr. Rudder.
Yeah.
I
and
have a follow-up
can you hear me?
question.
Yeah.
Yes. Answer your questions, Jim. Yes. All that. 100%.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Since you mentioned that you keep a record of everyone's identification as they come in, do you have a policy in place on how you're going to keep safe that information, because you are making a record of people's name, address, birthday, a driver's license, and that's private, personal information that needs to keep private. So do you have a policy in place to keep that digital copy safe? And do you provide your customers a copy of your policy?
Mr. Garcia, you're absolutely right. That is very sensitive information. And we do have procedures. Keep in mind, it's required that we do this by the state of California.
Yeah.
But
it's also
will-
required to keep that information safe from hacking.
Absolutely, it is. And it would be horrifying if any of that information were to get out. The good thing is it's not going to be accessible by the internet. So where you've heard about internet getting hacked and all kinds of, huge packets of identity information being released, this information that we take will be stored in a computer on site. It will not be, that computer will not be connected to the internet.
Just
in
as
any
long
way,
as
shape,
there
or
is a
form.
policy and customers are provided with a copy of the policy, because it's required.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
And a question that I'm not sure if you can answer this, maybe Elaine. So the back entrance to this building has 1 or 2 parking spaces in front of it. Are we going to maintain those parking spaces active, or are we going to cancel those no parking in front of that entrance?
I think you might be referring to the the Whitney Alley project that we're looking at the future.
No.
Just
I'm
generally,
not talking
those-
about that project
It's okay, and then that,
for this purpose.
okay, it came up in a previous conversation.
Yes.
Those parking spaces are on the private property of
Yes.
the business. So that would be at the discretion of the property owner.
So,
We do not maintain them.
okay, thank you. Can you answer that question then, or maybe Robert? There is 2 parking spaces in front of that entrance to that building. Are you going to allow parking in front of the door?
We are.
You are.
Yes, that is our plan.
And if I may comment, I did speak specifically with our current landlord, Mr. Aaron Schott, about the parking spaces. And because of his neighbor with the camera store right next door, and he has told
Yeah.
me, Robert, we've never, ever had any issues with parking.
Thank you.
Other, I don't know if it's necessarily a comment or concern, is as has brought up, there is a parking lot right behind there. And on Whitney Alley, and in particular, there is a bench with a table and seats in the back there, where a lot of people do end up hanging out and loitering. And so, do you have any? I imagine also another reality is that Bishop's a small town. People are all up in everybody's business. And I can imagine there would be, once the store opens, people associating that that bench that has always been there and has had people loitering and start complaining, saying that it was associated with the business itself. Do you have any plans to maybe mitigate that, or how would you go about addressing that?
Well, that's a good question. In one aspect, that bench is on public property.
It is?
I believe it is. So you understand, we would have no authority in regards to it as if it were on private land that we were in control of.
I understand that, but you also understand that we will get complaints from the public regardless.
We and we can appreciate that. What we will do is, as I said, we will have cameras, we will have lights, and we will communicate with the police. If someone comes to us and says, that bench is a problem and there are people there and loitering and this and that and the other thing, we will communicate those concerns to whatever city department is appropriate for them. We will do what we can within our rights to modify that behavior, but that's going to be pretty limited. But we think that the presence of the cameras and the lights will give the city an edge, a leg up on the whole thing.
I actually have one more quick question. It's probably, I know that this ordinance has sign requirements, but they're also going to be required to follow the new sign ordinance that we've passed since then. Okay, just wanted to make sure, because some of these pictures that were looking
Right,
at.
that one extends above the.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I do have a question about community events. Bishop has, a Christmas night of lights where businesses participate and people come in and, it's very jolly. We also hopefully will have like a chocolate art walk where people come in. How will you guys participate in those types of events, or will you not be able to? I'm just curious. like,
Well,
how that
it'll really
works.
depend. First, we'll have to be welcome. which
Well,
given the-
everyone's welcome.
Yeah,
Those,
well,
yeah.
given the nature of our business, there may be some things that people feel sensitive about, and we're going to be sensitive to people feeling sensitive.
Sure.
So we'll take that into account. We are not going to push our way into things against what the public in general feels is appropriate for a particular holiday. Conversely, if someone comes to us and says, gee, you ought to participate in this event and here's how you can help, we're going to be all over that. And another thing that Robert and I didn't mention, besides the contributions in cash that we're going to make to the various charities and organizations that are listed here, we will also be donating employee time. Our employees will be encouraged to participate, and we will compensate them for their hours spent participating, just as if they were working at the store.
Okay. So assuming that the Bishop Chamber of Commerce welcomes you into the organization, and you participate in like a Street of Lights community event, do you guys know how you would handle that? Like how people could come in and check out your business? Like, do you
Well,
have?
Once again, of course, we're, covered by California law. So we could allow people in over 21 with proper identification. They'd be welcome to come in and look around.
Yeah.
We'd love that. That'd be great.
And according to the City of Bishop ordinance, we can only be open until 8 p.m.
That's most businesses in town anyway.
Not Sage to Summit.
You got it.
Not Sage to Summit.
Okay, thanks. I don't have any other questions. All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, Robert. Thank
Ms.
you.
Mayor, thank you very much. The final point I want to make is we're not coming beggars who are here to open a business, take money from the community and run back up to Mammoth. We're coming here to be part of the community, to contribute to it, to be involved in it, and to do our level best to make it an even better place than it already is.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, council. Have a great evening. I appreciate you accommodating me while I'm on the road.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will be signing off.
Evening again, council. I'll just provide a very brief introduction. Their second applicant that will be providing presentation this evening is Nug Holdings. And I'll allow them to introduce themselves personally. Thank you.
Good evening, council. Latham Martinez. I'm the, actually, you can put the presentation up if you want to. Could I what? Oh, this, like moving. So I'm Latham Martinez. I'm the founder of Sundial Collective. We applied under Nug Holdings. We're obviously partners in the business that's proposed. You could skip to the next slide. Just a little background. I'm an environmental engineer from Cal Poly Humboldt. Again, founder of Sundial Collective. You can go to the next slide. A little background on Sundial Collective. We started operations in Redding, California. There we have 2 dispensaries, one of which we're partners on. The other one is owned just by Sundial Collective. And we have 3 other stores that are in the process of being built out in Red Bluff, Eureka, and Willows, California. We also own a distribution in Redding, or right outside of Redding, in Shasta Lake City. And we're a vertically integrated cannabis company. So now John's going to talk a little bit, then I'm going to talk a little bit, and John's going to talk a little more. So.
Hi, good evening, staff and council. Thank you. Well, we can go quickly through here. So I'm John Oram. I'm founder of Nug. We are based in Oakland, California, and we have retail we're fully vertically integrated. So next slide, I'll just go through it this way. We're a vertically integrated cannabis company based in Oakland. Next slide. When I say we're vertically integrated, that means we cultivate our own cannabis. Some pictures there. Next slide. The cannabis that we grow often ends up on the top 10 sellers list in the state of California. We sell them packaged, as you see here on the screen or on your printout. Next slide. We also operate a manufacturing facility. This is where we are able to extract the active ingredients from cannabis material, and we package that and sell that in stores. Next slide. It's sold in a number of forms. Here I'm showing a picture as a concentrate. Our concentrates often end up also in the top 10 list in California. Next slide. We similarly have an infusion a manufacturing facility where we make a bunch of different edibles. Here we're showing our chocolate line being processed. Next slide. And those, we then also self-distribute our products to the wholesale market. So we're on third-party stores throughout the state, and then we also distribute to our own stores. Next slide. So we currently have 5 stores open. Our 6th store is opening in just a matter of a couple of weeks here in the town of Alameda. Our 5 stores are all are located in Northern California. Here you see some of the look and feel of our stores. What we try to provide is a very normalized experience. Our motto is to normalize the cannabis experience. We want consumers to be able to walk into a well-situated store that feels inviting, that is welcoming, that has an educated staff, and you feel comfortable talking to that staff about your product selection, making your selection, and then leaving, all in a very respectable and very welcoming environment. Next slide. So these are some interior pictures. Let's go quickly here. We'll keep going. We've won some awards and people like, this is important. So we are actively engaged in social equity throughout California. We were actually one of the leaders in the program as it developed in Northern California, where we sponsor 6 different equity qualified groups, and we have built out state-of-the-art greenhouses for them. They cultivate all of their own cannabis, they run their own businesses, build their own brands, and we stock those products in our stores, and we preferentially merchandise those so that consumers are aware that there is the social equity, social justice component to our business. And we try to bring people through this pipeline. And so 6 businesses at a time, and we try to bring a cohort through a couple, at least once every about 18 months. Next slide. So we'll go very quickly here. Quick, next one. So we're on a campaign, like I said, to normalize the cannabis experience, and we want that experience to be greater. We want you to have a greater experience at retail. Next slide. We want you to have a greater experience with our flowers. Next slide. With our extracts. Next. With our edibles. Next. And with our retail. So this is an interior picture of one of our current retails. These are the types of designs and kind of atmosphere that we want to provide. So next quickly. So now we'll jump into the Bishop project. Go ahead. So our goal is to normalize the experience. We believe in both the medical and the adult use aspects of cannabis, and we want to provide a very welcoming and very normalized experience for consumers here in Bishop. Next slide.
So I'll go through this quickly as well. So the proposed location is 175 South Main Street, formerly La Casita. Hopefully soon, Nug Sundial Collective. Next slide. So here's our conceptual floor plan. I'll walk through how it works when you go into our dispensaries. That way you can get a feel for what the floor plan actually means. So we do what's called fulfillment model. We don't have any product that's accessible on the floor to grab. It's all samples in locked cases. So when you come in, you first are greeted by a security guard who checks your ID, make sure that you're 21 or 18 with a medicinal or older. Then you go into check-in. Your ID's scanned there. Our POS verifies that you have a valid ID, again, that you're either 18 with a medicinal or 21 without one or over. After you're checked in, we save all your information, so the next time it's easier to check in. You're then greeted by a sales associate or a bud tender. That person walks you around, helps you pick out product, helps you place your order. Once the order is placed, it's then sent, a receipt is sent to the back in fulfillment, similar to a restaurant or a pharmacy. The front where the customer experience is public access, so there's no limited access there other than, again, meeting the age requirements. The fulfillment and everything behind that is restricted or limited access. We do tiered access, so not all employees have access to all of these spaces. Some will have access to fulfillment, some will have access to just the break room, some will have access to the inventory room or the safe room, but not all employees are able to go back there. We track every time someone walks through our limited access doors for a long time. When I say a long time, we can keep it for 20 years if we want to, because it's just simple CSV files. We do that in case there's any problems with theft or anything like that. The fulfillment model does two things. It makes the experience quicker, and it makes it so it's very hard for us to lose or get products stolen because there's nothing accessible on the floor. It's only accessible in the back. So what's in the restricted access area is the fulfillment, which there, once the order is placed, the fulfillment associate will fill the order. We barcode all of our products. So a lot of products have similar names like Blue Dream. So it's easy to sell the wrong product, give the customer the wrong product. We make sure in the fulfillment model that you scan everything out so that the customer is getting the correct product. Again, helps with inventory stuff. Once the fulfillment person fulfills the order, it then goes to the cashier and then it's sold to the customer. In the back, again, there's fulfillment, a bathroom, a storage area, a safe room and storage area for inventory. That's hardened, so it's designed not to be able to be broken through. There's a cold storage room and an office. Real quick to go through the back procedure, that's where we receive orders would be through the back of La Casita, not through the front. And obviously customers would only come in through the front there as well. When a vendor comes, they're checked in. We make sure that they have the proper credentials, they sign in, they then bring the product into the inventory room where we check it in. We just ensure that they're bringing what they said they were bringing. Then it goes into our POS system. We sticker it, again, with our own barcodes, and then we can sell it. So
I just wanted to give you a 2-minute warning.
Okay, I'll be much quicker than, you can go to the next slide. Security plan, I kind of ran through this. 24-hour on-site security, 24-hour cameras, random security patrols, tiered employee access. We also have a good neighbor policy, which we could go into, but not in this time frame. And yeah, everyone has to check in with the security guard or receptionist. Next slide. We have banking. We don't deal with any cash other than what people pay us in cash. We pay all of our vendors with checks or ACH. We do cash drops weekly. So that the banking helps us with security. Now John's going to talk about the rest.
All right, thank you. I'll be quick. Next slide, please. So we have, our staffing plan is to have a local hire preference. We want to give preference to 70% of the jobs to go to a local hire. We are anticipating 15 people in the first year, 20 in the second, and then growing from there. We start people at a minimum wage of $18 per hour, and they can go up very quickly from there. We include benefits, so we have a healthcare policy. We have a very flexible paid time off policy. We have paid holidays, and we do pay all of our employees by check or direct deposit. That's meaningful in cannabis. Doesn't mean a lot to normal businesses, but in cannabis, very meaningful. Next slide. On community benefits, we are proposing a 2.5% of gross receipts. That estimates just under 500,000 after the first 3 years of business. We will also be developing a community fund to help that we will fund and will be guided by community residents, and we can deploy capital into projects that is most meaningful to the city, whether that's park and rec or whatever that may be for the city. I will move on from community benefits. Next slide. I talked about social equity, so let's go to the very last, second to last slide here, the startup plan. We do have a schedule. It's one more, I think. We have a schedule here. It is our startup plan. It shows that we're anticipating spending just over $1 million to build out this store, to train staff, to purchase inventory, and train and implement our security plan. So we are prepared to do that. Here's a plan, the timeline that we were hoping to hit. We're a little bit later in this, but I think we'll hit Q1, Q2 of next year, depending on how the selection process goes. And then finally, to close, I'll just wrap on the summary. Some high points. It's a very secure location. It is away from all residences and sensitive uses. We're a very knowledgeable and very capable team. And Lathan failed to mention that he is from Bishop, actually, went to high school here. We have a proven track record of success here in California, cannabis. We will be providing good jobs to local employees with benefits and career advancement opportunities. I didn't mention that, but we do have an online program where we train our staff and try to bring them up. We are offering significant community benefits, and our vertical model, which I just touched on, does provide a level of control of the supply chain and a level of knowledge and control of the supply chain that allows us to bring more value to consumers. We're able to provide an excellent experience and products at a very good cost because of our control of the supply chain. Thank you.
Quick question. So the proposed business will have its main entrance on Main Street?
Correct.
And the back entrance will be like for deliveries and
That is-
employees only and things like that?
That is correct.
Thank you.
One quick question from me. Are you renting the space? Do you own the space?
Once we, or if we get a license, hopefully, once we get a license, we'll close on the building. So we've been in escrow for the whole process.
Okay. So you're actually purchasing the building and then but that's not included in your startup costs.
Yeah, it was included in there, maybe not on that summary, but in the application, it was included in there.
Okay.
Just 2 seconds on that. Often the real estate purchase is done outside of the company, so would not be in the startup cost. The actual operational startup costs are here, which include tenant improvements, training, inventory, and that sort of.
I guess my only question is, you're only selling your products, correct?
No,
Or do you sell?
So typically, we want to have about 30% NUG products and then products that I have as well.
Okay.
But we are going to carry products from the market. Consumers like it, so that's why we do it.
And the other question I have, you had a number in there of over $500,000 over 3 years. Those estimates, was that taken into account that there could be more than one? Okay.
And we took into account the other two outside of Bishop as well.
So in the full application, we did a whole worksheet on all of our assumptions, number of customers per day, average spend per customer, and ran those numbers out. And then we included the 2.5% of gross receipts. That's how we arrive at those numbers.
Mhm.
Yes, we do consider how many stores are going to be in the area, what the demographics are, what the tourist demographics are. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And we estimate the average basket size amount of customers from our current locations and then based on population here.
Like the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
I don't think you need to worry about because sitting out on Main Street is not pleasant because of all the trucks.
You guys can bring my tacos if you will, though.
Thank you.
Can we
Wait.
ask questions to the other ones after we're done? I think so. Yeah, we'll let the three go.
Oh.
We can ask.
I thought, no, I thought they were not gonna be able to listen to each other.
And once they're done, they can listen. They just can't listen before.
Okay,
That's what.
okay.
They did.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Yes, please. Thank you. Next slide, please. Oh, I just want to make sure we were there. Eden Holding LLC, we have a confirmed location at 187 South Main Street in Bishop. It has the appropriate zoning and meets all local location requirements. There are no sensitive uses like schools, daycare centers, or youth centers within 600 feet of this location. Our improvements will be on the next slide, and it will include HVAC work and will include elements of the professionally created security plan. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is the site plan. I hope you can read it. Okay. Next slide. At this location, including its exterior and surrounding public areas, it will be managed to avoid becoming a nuisance or having negative impacts on the neighbors or surrounding community. We will implement a security plan that will discourage unwanted solicitation while fostering a sense of safety for customers and surrounding business owners. We will be conducting all transactions outside of the public view by using window covers and ensuring all cannabis product drop-off are done in the back of the building away from the main street. We will commit to proactive measures to reduce and eliminate the quality of life complaints associated with noise, odor, as detailed in our odor plan, and lighting, loitering, and vehicle and pedestrian traffic. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our mission is to discreetly provide access to legal cannabis for the community's well-being and financial benefit. So our target consumers would be medical patients, working professionals, retirement population, and also for recreational. I will be the sole owner. My name is Teresa, and I am a resident of Bishop, and I have significant managerial experience. Upon securing licensing from the city of Bishop, we anticipate taking on additional capital investment within the limitations and guidelines of all laws and regulations. We are an LLC, and we have sufficient capitalization for the project, and we are committed to investing the necessary capital to make this project possible. Next slide, please. This would be our projected revenues. These are the annual revenues before expenses and taxes. So 2023, we 2.5 million, 2024, 4 million, and 2025, 6 million. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the timeline for the beginning of operations, phase 1 would be months 1 through 3, and we'll complete the application with the city of Bishop and obtain local license and hire local contractors. Phase 2 would be months 3 through 6, and we'll complete build out and application for state license. And phase 3 would be month 12. We'll open doors for operation. Thank you. The daily operations, the state of California regulations will provide the regulatory structure while standard operating procedures, which is also called SOPs, will include the step-by-step instruction and processes needed to successfully manage and operate the dispensary. It'll provide protocols to achieve predictable standardized results along with an employee manual. It will also serve as a training guide for all employees. We anticipate approximately 11 employees in addition to security. It will also include the policies of Eden Holding to operate this dispensary in the most responsible and efficient manner based on the guidelines set forth in this document. Compliance with the state and local law, Eden Holding plans to apply for a type 10 storefront retail license with the state of California. Eden Holding will comply with the applicable, standards of California medical marijuana laws and regulations and monitor the, sorry, I already read that. Where am I? Defined in the Medicinal and Adult Use Cannabis Regulation and Safety Act. We will follow the guidelines to ensure our dispensary operates in a manner with industry best practices and pursuant to the laws of the state of California. We will have a tracking system. We'll be using the metric track and trace. It will trace everything from seed to the consumer. So the receipt of cannabis goods from a distributor or transporter, sale of cannabis goods to a cannabis customer, patient, or primary caregiver, return of cannabis goods to a distributor, the waste of the cannabis goods, transfer of cannabis goods to a distributor for destruction, and other instances required elsewhere by law. If licensed, we are committed to providing a variety of introductory, age-appropriate, and educational workshops, seminars, and roundtable lectures regarding responsibility with cannabis. we plan on, we are committed to fundraising and donating to the following initiatives, which would be the Bishop Police Department, Bishop Fire Department, the City of Bishop Community Improvement Projects, and local schools for like playground equipment or youth groups, camps. We are also committed to keeping a community benefits manager on staff to be available to the community to address any concerns and complaints regarding business operations for the purpose of being a good neighbor and responsible participant in the local ecosystem. Thank you so much for your consideration, and we look forward to being a responsible retail operator.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions?
I had a couple of questions. This would be the Barbecue Bills property, is that right?
Right.
So what physical improvements are you talking about doing at that?
Well, taking down the big
The sign,
nasty sign.
number one.
That looks ugly up
Yeah.
there. Painting, just giving a makeover that fits in with the city.
Yeah, blended
not
in with the
sticking out,
rest of the
but
building.
just updating everything. Doing little stuff in the back parking lot, get it looking nice again. I know we share with the other places there, but we'll just get with them and maybe we can get that looking nice and designated where you can see the
Lights.
parking lot, better lights. And then on the inside, just basically you're gonna have a building inside of a building. Well,
And would the primary entrance be on Main Street or in the back?
Main Street.
Main Street.
I had a question. It says in your application that there's going to be no off-site warehousing. So how is it going to work to get your, all the stuff to your retailer?
No off-site warehousing. Well, we'll have distributors that we can, and vendors that we can deal with, and we have a safe room on our site plan. We have a safe room
For the storage.
of our cannabis and product.
Okay, thank you.
Do you currently have those connections with vendors and suppliers at this point?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
In your annual projections, you have 25 to be doing about 6 million a year, which is about $16,000 a day, a little more than that. How did you guys come at those numbers?
Well, from the shops that ran in the past, we've had shops that do anywhere from 8,000 up to 40,000 a day.
Okay.
So that's a safe number coming in wise. 16, I mean, there's a lot of marijuana smokers out there, and once, like 3 years from now, you're hoping you've done a good enough business that you're gonna have that return business coming in.
Okay.
Have you guys operated shops before? You
I've managed some shops down south, but nothing up this way. And that's why I'm here to assist her.
No worries.
I have no further questions. Anyone else?
I guess the other thing I had is, are you guys intending to rent or do you own that
We
building?
are renting the building from the owners that own it,
Uh-huh.
and we've been paying on it for last
Yeah, we
4 or 5
already
months. We've
rented it.
been,
And what kind of assurances do you have from that rental agreement, given that this can be like a long-term process?
we had so until we get through this process right here, that we were on a 6-month lease. Once we got through this process, we were gonna go into a 5-year lease.
5-year lease, okay.
I have no further questions. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
guys.
Um,
Want to thank the applicants for being available this evening to provide presentations to the council. At this time, I'm happy to take any questions As stated, Mr. Eaton's also available. Mr. Standridge has participated in the process, might be able to answer questions if you have them. But at this time, we would ask the council to consider the application evaluation results, the interview results, the final scoring, and the presentations provided this evening, and select up to 2 applicants that would proceed into development agreement negotiations and background as the next steps for obtaining a cannabis storefront permit from the city of Bishop. As part of that, staff is also requesting that the city council would adopt a resolution of the city council, the city of Bishop, state of California, conditionally approving those 2 applicants to proceed to final permitting for a Store Plus applicant for a storefront cannabis retail permit by title only, as appropriate for the 2 applicants that are selected to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you guys have your top 2?
Can I ask another question of each of the 2 presidents, if I may? First, I guess let's ask Ascent. In particular, I was wondering the same type of question, since you are renting that property, what kind of rental assurances do you guys have, since you have like a 5-year plan? You have a 5-year plan to do a bunch of improvements and to operate the business for 5 years. Do you actually have a 5-year lease? Okay. All right. And then the question I had for you guys is,
Will you come up for the question?
oh yeah, sorry. I noticed in your application that you guys omitted to score any points on one of the questions. In particular, the question was about the security plan being established by a third party. Can you comment on?
Sure. There's different expectations with different cities. What we do is we always engage a licensed civil and structural engineer. He stamps all those plans, and it is he and his staff that they've done all of our stores, and they do the security plans, the camera plans. They completely understand state law and how to lay these stores out. And we've passed every physical inspection of every store. So it's just by choice that we use those professionals instead of identifying a fire consultant who may or may not understand cannabis.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is a question about the process. Mr. Eaton, I see that.
Right there.
Got a big huge screen up here, guys. How many, they're established company that's doing this, did this for us. And I just want the background kind of fill in there. They've done this many, many, many times.
Mr. Eaton is available, but yeah, we selected the consultants through a typical public procurement process. HDL was the only respondent to the request, but it's my understanding that this is their specialty, is assisting cities with cannabis retailer selection. I believe they also have, I think they've probably done some work on Mammoth. Mr. Eaton can speak to it. And they've done it in Inyo County as well. They helped with their selection process.
I just want the background for the whole picture. But thank you. There he is.
Did you have further questions? Did you want me to explain any further, or was that sufficient?
Just more question on the process. If you guys are familiar with it, this is established. It's not like we just had 3 guys show up and do an interview.
Yes. So HDL has in fact done application processes, both developed by our clients and developed by the ourselves. And we've done approximately 73 different processes for our clients, which allows us to experience over 4,000 different application reviews. And we've been involved in about 1,800 interviews. Your process as developed fell in line exactly with all other clients that we've worked with.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
And would you say that these, I mean, I guess you rated them fairly strongly. So these applications, the applications were all, how do they compare to applications that were accepted in other cities?
You had a great application pool. The applicants were checked against compliance with state and local law, adherence and compliance with your procedures and the procedure format that was required in your process. And all of them, far exceeded the standards that we see in other application pools.
That help you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Or, okay, do we have any public comment? Okay, well, I suggest maybe if you guys have your top two, I mean, I personally, just based off the scoring, think Ascent and Nug are the ones that I would go with. I don't know if you guys want to just comment on what you think, but it looks like tonight we need to pick them.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and comment because, so for all of you, those who don't know, I was the only no vote as far as allowing cannabis retailers in Bishop. So you know that from my perspective. I guess I just don't really feel that now that we have I'm very impressed with all of you, to be honest with you. Again, coming in this with sort of a negative thought process, I was really impressed with the applications and the professionalism. However, because of the locations in which they selected, I really feel like in that close of proximity, we're talking about a half a block from each other or right next door, or that I just don't feel like two is really necessary. Any other comments?
I mean, I definitely want to commend everybody for their applications. You guys did a great job. And I would say I am by no means an expert on running a business, B, cannabis, or any of those things. And so in this case, I would tend to defer to the people who are experts. And in that case, I would agree with the two suggestions that the mayor has made.
Yeah, all three, I agree with you. All three presentations well put together. And I would probably go more with Stephen on this one, that, two are incredibly polished. They, the question I asked about the company, who's doing their scoring comes out great. I want to thank everyone for going through the process. I know it's been a long, lengthy process. It's new to us too. We're not quite polished in getting it perfect, but thank you, Elaine, for putting this together and polishing it up and getting it for us. But I would be, in the interest of, I think the two, I would go with Karen, Mayor Schwartz on this one, and Stephen. And I thank you for your time, truly, and wish you the best in where you go in the future.
And I mean, and yeah, when we passed this ordinance, we said we would start out with two, and who knows what the future will bring. Because we were basically, it's a pilot program. We were gauging interest, and obviously there is interest from the business side. And now there's the question of what it is on the demand side. So I wouldn't rule anything out. And I would say also, I mean, it's been kind of bugging me a little bit. I'm really sorry that I didn't point this out earlier, staff, but you have some of the numbers swapped on the interview score in that table in the packet.
Jose, you have anything? Any comments?
No, I echo everyone's comments. I like to thank the applicants, staff. This has been a long process, a lot of hours from the beginning, from the time we passed the ordinance to select up to two. Kind of share Karen Kong's feeling that one may be enough for our small 2 square mile city. our ordinance allows for up to two, and we have two good applicants. I don't want to deny a business opportunity to an application that looks good. Hopefully, it's a successful business in reality that is in paper. So, best of luck, and yeah, I agree with you. I mean, based on the results of the application evaluation, the interviews, for what I have seen, yeah, I have the same idea to select those two.
Well, thank you so much for your time and investing in the city of Bishop. And would anyone like to make a motion?
You want to do it, Jim? Go for it.
Yeah, how do we do that?
I will, do you want me to do it, Jim?
Do we have to do them
All
separately?
right. I will make a motion to select Alluvial Management and LLC and Nug Holdings LLC to proceed to the development agreement negotiations and background as next steps for obtaining a cannabis permit storefront, and to adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop conditionally approving two applicants to proceed to final permitting for a storefront cannabis retail permit by title only.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call for a vote.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop, State of California, selecting applicants to proceed to permitting for a storefront cannabis retail permit. Councilmember Kong,
No.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mohovi.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-1.
Okay, congratulations.
And again,
We look
thanks,
forward-
everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If you're gonna speak, you got to come to the.
Your eloquent words.
You're right, this has been a long process. I'm not as experienced as the Nug guys, but my partner Robert and I have been through the process elsewhere. I can tell you elsewhere, it has been a nightmare. But thanks to Elaine, the city of Bishop was professional, on top of things, consistent all the way through, worked with us terrifically, and we're very, very grateful to the city for having Elaine to work with us. It made all the difference.
It makes our life much easier too. So thank you.
And the only other request that I have is that if for some reason your business goes out of business and you have 20 years on your lease, you do not renew that lease for 20 years and leave it empty.
Well, there are options, not a 20-year lease.
Okay. Because we know of other buildings in town that fall in that trap.
As a former landlord, we consider empty space to be a vacuum, to be a complete negative. We don't allow that. So
Thank you.
if we don't succeed at this business, we'll find something else.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Ritter.
Moving on to item B, collective partnership agreement letter to participate in the California Community Economic Resilience Fund SURF process. Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay,
Oh, no.
Elaine. Ms. Kabbalah.
Good evening. I wasn't sure what I was walking into.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either.
Thank you, council, for the kind words. It means a lot to me. This item is with regards to a collective partnership agreement letter to participate in the California Community Economic Resilience Fund process. And you'll forgive me, I can't recall if we've had an item that explains this in detail. If not, I would love to provide a summary of what the Community Economic Resilience Fund is, or the SURF is, and I will keep my comments brief. So the SURF, as indicated in the staff report, is a one-time $600 million economic development opportunity from the state of California. It's being administered by the governor's office in partnership with several different agencies underneath the governor's office. I think spearheaded by GoBiz, which is the Office of Economic Development, but also in partnership with Office of Planning and Research and Economic Development Department, EDD. It is a 2-phase program. The first phase is $100 million being distributed to 13 regions defined by the state across the state of California. We are within what's known as the Eastern Sierra District, which includes Inyo, Mono, and Alpine counties, as well as 5 other counties that are on the west side. That will kick off in October. And the way the state has designed the program is that there is going to be a convener that is selected by the state. They have to submit its competitive process to administer what's going to be a $5 million economic and development planning process through the region. It is going to be a very, very complex outreach, trying to capture as much about regional economic development strategies, starting at a community level and building into a regional level for that area. The second phase is a $500 million implementation opportunity. So the idea is to get as many actionable projects into that economic development planning phase and then apply for funding through the implementation phase. There is one organization for the Eastern Sierra region that's intending to apply to be the convener, which is the Sierra Business Council. They have developed a strategy, which was included in your agenda packet, which also includes their governance program for who will be able to participate and how that funding will be implemented. So this letter before you this evening is in one part a letter of support for the Sierra Business Council to be the convener, to serve as the convener for the Eastern Sierra region. They need to have those letters of support to apply to the state of California. It is also an earmark for the city of Bishop to participate in that planning process in the future, to build up a budget for that up to $5 million they can receive. It's not a straight allocation. They are looking to deploy some of that capital back into the participating organizations to fund capacity. I'm not entirely sure how that will work with the city of Bishop, because I think there's some policies at the state of California that you can't use grant funding to supplement funding for staff you already have. But what this does is it does sort of reserve a place for the city of Bishop to participate in that process in the future, to have a seat at the table, the governance, as part of the governance structure, if that's something that the city chooses to do at that time, and potentially create some funding for capacity building. I'm not 100% sure on that yet. It does give the city of Bishop an opportunity to participate in creating the budget once the funding is awarded. So staff would request at this time that you approve the SURF Collective Partnership Agreement, authorize Mr. Deschamps to sign that, and then we will have additional updates on that planning process once the contract is awarded in October. I'm happy to take questions on this item. Thank you.
Elena, I have a little a question. So I don't know if you're the right person to answer this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So it talked about the HRTC Council being 21 members, 3 from each county or cities within the counties. But this is being split up, and is this the whole Sierra region or just the east side?
Yeah, so the governance board with the 21-seat board that will make recommendations and approvals for implementation projects, I believe that 21-seat board is for the whole Eastern Sierra region, which is the 8 counties. But I did neglect to say that SBC's proposal is to bifurcate the planning process into east side counties and west side counties, since there are lots of cultural similarities relative to California,
right?
Lots of economic differences due to the divided geography.
I guess that's where I'm confusing. If it's 3 from each county, there is or cities within the counties, I'm having trouble how to get that at 21.
It's only 7 counties.
Oh, it's only 7 counties.
Yeah, that is why three per county. So that's 21 members.
Okay.
Thank you,
And
Councilor
then
Garcia.
my other question is, are there any assurances in that HRTC council? They said that it needs 2/3 vote for approval of certain projects. So if I'm doing my math right, that's 14 votes in favor of something. So you could end up in a situation where all representatives of Inyo and Moneo County are voting against something and it still passes. Are there any assurances to mitigate that?
No, not at this time, or potentially, and I should refer you to Mr. Frisch, who's obviously not present at the Sierra Business Council, to be able to answer those questions. I think by submitting this partnership agreement, we would be able to have a participation and a voice in helping with that governance
Well, but
structure.
the letter that we're about to sign says we agree with this format.
Well, and I suppose the converse of that is if we don't sign this letter, that will still move forward. And the other thing I would say is the state of California, originally, this was funded through COVID funding, and they had 24 months under the federal guidelines to implement the whole thing, phase 1 and phase 2. They did some sort of accounting magic, shifting it from federal funding to not federal funding, which created a much longer timeline for implementation. But the complexity of what the state of California is trying to accomplish with this has been mayhem for staff to try and to track and to figure out. I think that Sierra Business Council has actually done a really good job of putting together a governance structure to try and navigate the guidance that we've gotten from the state of California. And I have heard that from representatives of the rural county representatives of California and other sort of like high level representatives who can sort of see the process across California, that the Eastern Sierra region is in a much better position for collaboration and communication and being effective with this program than lots of other places right now.
Elaine, but to Stevens, isn't there an idea to divide the region into eastern side and western side, having Inyo, Mono, and Alpine in one of those two and the other 4 counties separately?
It SBC's proposal to the state. So the state will still deploy the funding to the Eastern Sierra region.
Mhm.
The planning process would be separated into the Eastern Sierra and the Western Sierra counties. And I think so part of the problem is that the state hasn't released the implementation guidelines. Those are anticipated in November. And so the Sierra Business Council, as I understand it, is advocating that there should be at least a $40 million allocation to the subregions. The state's gone back and forth about maybe that's a competitive process. I think within that, I've heard them say that there would be sub-allocations regionally, but I don't think it's been defined at this time.
No, thank you. But it is possible, Steven.
Yeah. In the letter, it says, we understand that this governance model may change as the process evolves. And I just want to put it on the record that I hope it changes to make sure that that counties can't be marginalized in the manner that I described.
And I would be happy to include a modification in the language that the council sends to the Sierra Business Council to include those concerns at this time, certainly.
This is just assuring us a seat at the table. Yeah, because I know this has come up in SCOG, that this is kind of where the state's going, but I agree with you that what we vote on July 11th, it might change tomorrow at the state level. So we just have to get a seat at the table and see where it all comes out.
Right. We don't want to miss the
typo on
opportunity.
the date there too, on that letter.
We don't want to miss the opportunity. I mean, it's like, we have to be part of the process.
Says July 11/022.
Justin DeShawn, you're not allowed to
I'm
sign
having a
anything.
really
It goes to
difficult
state.
time. I apologize. If it's the council's direction, I'll include language to say, that the Eastern have fair representation and structure.
Good suggestion.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, Elaine. What you have here in attachment B, is there more to the grant application than just attachment B?
I am assuming there's a great deal more
Okay.
to the grant application. It hasn't been shared with me.
Okay, good. I was hoping there was, and so that was why I had a little trouble with the language, is that we're saying we agree with them, but we haven't seen everything. And so I just wrote myself some notes about, how are you recruiting who is going to be on these groups and who's doing that recruitment, and a lot of questions like that are not answered in attachment B. And so I don't know if there's a way to sort of, I don't want to say fudge the the letter, but, you know, for us to say that we're completely in agreement with the goals when we don't know lots of those details, and yes, Jim is right, that is just getting us a seat at the table, but I got concerned as I was reading through, in the same way that Stephen did about, you know, how are we doing this and how are we going to make sure we're included, who is included, and all of those sorts of things. So I guess I just need to trust better. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
That's sort of where we're at.
You answer your own question.
I know, I usually do.
You're good, yeah.
Unfortunately, this is getting very common with all the state funded money that's going on because there's so much of it right now that they got to get it out there. And then they say, here's the money and we'll make the rules up later. And this is just getting to be the norm right now. And then it's also why everything's bottlenecking and not getting out to the local agencies because they have not vetted them out before they send them out.
We just want sidewalks.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, our money got to Caltrans, right? Oh, wait. Committee reports later.
Okay. All right, so.
I just asked about that today.
Is there any public comment? No public comment. Would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the SERVS collective partnership agreement letter with the modifications expressed.
I'll second.
Call for a vote?
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mohovi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, moving on. Thank you very much, Elaine. To proposed guidelines for the grant and support for fiscal year 2022, 2023. Finance.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. For the fiscal year 23 budget, the City of Bishop allocated $47,000 for community support. Historically, the City Council rewards this funding as grant and support. This year, we propose to review the applications and award based on our community needs. City Attorney Pucci has reviewed this item and finds that the recommended action complies with the law. And we are asking City Council to approve the grant and support information packet.
I'm always in support of this program.
I am definitely in support of this program. I do have one clarifying question.
Yes.
I know my questions are super annoying tonight, but whatever. Yes. So question, because under eligible projects, we have things like program enhancements, special supplies, et cetera, but like program enhancements being one of the ones that jumped out at me. And sometimes as part of program enhancements, you could be asking to hire an extra person's part-time to run that program enhancement, which would fall under a personnel cost, which is under ineligible projects. So can we just, under the ineligible projects, remove the personnel costs or request that fund the general operations and maintenance? Because a program enhancement could fall under either of those.
I guess my worry about that would be the idea that this is not a ongoing thing. And so the idea that we're going to be helping an organization stay afloat by their general operations once.
But if that organization is providing a community need, does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
I had a similar concern and I asked earlier, and I think we can leave it as is, as listed, because we are going to get all those applications and we're going to see what they are asking for, and we can decide whether yes, we'll fund it or not, based on whether it falls within the allowed, eligible, or illegible projects.
I do have a question about, and you remind me, I know some of the people that we awarded this grant to, some of the organizations did not end up using the money. And were there organizations that applied that didn't get funded that could have? Like,
No.
Okay, so
No,
we didn't have
everyone
that
was funded.
situation. Okay, all right.
So am I right that traditionally it's sort of the same people that apply every year?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so, but this could be something that, let's say, the Methodist Church Soup Kitchen could apply for
Yeah,
as an
it's a
example.
non-for-profit, yeah.
As long as it was for all.
We had a few new ones last year, which, which is good, like the Avalanche Association.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
Mhm.
California.
I just want to put it out there that there are lots of really great community things that are happening that maybe if they're listening out there,
Right.
could apply for this money.
Right.
And in prior years, we limited it to like a $5,000 award, and this year we didn't. We just are welcoming all applications, and then we'll based on.
Oh, I
the
like
need.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
Okay.
better.
Is this
Yeah,
an
I-
action item?
I still have an issue
Yeah.
with the personnel costs under ineligible. Because that is a lot of nonprofits, that's what they're spending stuff on, and they're doing programs for the community.
Is there any public comment? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve grant and support information packet as presented with no corrections.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mohovi,
No,
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Yep.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you, guys.
Game on.
Okay, moving on. Award the Horace Albright Avenue Park Path Improvements Construction Contract. Administration.
All right, good evening again, council. The city of Bishop receives SB1 funding each year. The funding must be used for street projects such as maintenance and pedestrian safety. One of the projects the city has listed as a priority and was listed on the 2021 resolution is the Horace Albright Avenue Park Path Project. This project includes the construction of approximately 4,000 square feet in new sidewalk, pedestrian ramp, and gutter. The improvements will be adjacent to the western fence on Ball Field 1 and Robbins. That's all right. So you can imagine, oh yeah, perfect. So that's kind of that got highlighted area there, yes.
Mhm.
So, thank you.
Is online.
I don't know.
it's fine.
It's all right. It's
Online.
It's in the
So basically,
packet.
it'll be on the western fence of Ball Field 1 as we along the street there. So it will not change any parking, but it will add the sidewalk feature that currently the cars on both sides of the road pull clear up to the fences. So as younger families, young children are walking to swim lessons and to the park, they tend to, or always, they have to walk down the middle of the street. This will alleviate that issue. The project was advertised for bid on May 19th, 2022, with bids opened on June 16th, 2022. This project is funded with state gas tax, so contracting preferences did not apply. We received one bid from Clara Concrete Incorporated in the amount of $83,101.25. If this contract is awarded, the proposed schedule would be award contract tonight, start construction on August 8th, and complete construction around the 1st of September. And the reason that August 8th was chosen is swim lessons and most of our park programs have ended by then. So because this will be pretty disruptive to that front part of the park for a short amount of time. The project is completely funded with gas tax funds, more specifically, Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Act, or RMRA. At this time, staff would recommend that we award the Horace Albright Path Project construction contract to Clara Concrete, Inc. in the amount of $83,101.25. Authorize the execution of the construction contract with Clara Concrete and authorize the expenditure and not to exceed amount of $91,411.38, including a 10% contingency.
I like everything.
Yeah, Des, I drove by here last night or night before, and this project is so badly needed. It's great to finally see it come to fruition, just because I've seen cars parked sideways along the fence. And I think to have that, like you talked about, the safety component and looking at our park map, I mean, it's kind of one big hole that's been missing. So, booyah, thank you.
Yeah, and I think as you can see along Ballfield One there towards the creek, there's all that yellow crosshatch painting that is trying to keep the parking. And that tends to be where a lot of big RVs want to park anyways. So that curb and gutter will be clear out at the edge of that striping. So it'll create this nice buffer there for the bleachers, the dugout, the kids, it'll just, and a handicap ramp, and shorten that width from at that crosswalk into the back of Carl's Jr. as well.
It doesn't show here. It shows a little pink line. Does it bulb out into that yellow? And
Yeah, yes, it'll actually follow the front of the parking, and then come out and bulb out and incorporate all that cross hatching, and then tie back in just past the bleachers.
God, even better. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a fair amount of concrete.
I mean, this project is desperately needed, and I'm glad we'll get it done so then we can focus on more residential sidewalks.
Absolutely.
The test sidewalk.
Any other comments? Any public comment? Seeing none, would someone like?
Okay, I'll make a motion to award the Horace Albright Power Path Project construction and contract to Clear Concrete Inc. in the amount of $83,101.25. Authorize the execution of the construction of the contract with Clear Concrete Inc. and authorize the expenditure of not to exceed amount of $91,411.38, including a 10% contingency.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote?
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahui,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, future agenda items.
Nothing.
Nothing, Karen?
Nothing.
Stephen?
Nope, everything's in there.
About 10 minutes dinner. That's my agenda.
I do have one. I was thinking we could potentially put in some vehicle charging stations around town. I don't know.
Do we not have those?
No, but like ours, like city ones.
Oh,
not
city.
like city ones. Like you would pay, you put your credit card in and you charge per kilowatt and megawatt. I don't know.
We will be going into the business. Okay.
Well, yeah, but like other cities do it. It's kind of cool. And yeah, there's just so many people that have like plug-in hybrids or just like it's like I went to Tahoe not that long ago and there was no place to charge my car, like nowhere. And so,
Do we want to add this to an agenda or do we want to discuss it now?
oh no, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Just to kind of add to that, our grants people
He's
just
on
brought us
fire.
one.
What's that?
The grants folks over California Consulting just brought one to our attention that
Wow.
Edison, it has to be in Edison territory, but they pay for 80% of it.
Oh my
So
God.
in the back of the park is Edison by the restrooms, and
Love
it
it.
might be a great location to
Okay.
put one.
Yes.
Okay.
And bring it back.
Okay. All right. Council and committee reports.
I was at the park for the 4th of July. It was great. We ran out of ice cream and pie in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
to Dan and all the staff that work, all the volunteers that showed up for 4th of July. It was great. So thank you.
Fantastic.
I'm going to say the same. 4th of July was awesome. I finally have a dog that's not scared of fireworks, so that's really great for me. Yeah, I had a lovely time and I haven't been to any meetings lately. I have one in August.
4th of July was great. I was there at the park. It was a really fun time. Yeah, we should definitely, next year, we should have more pie and ice cream and maybe change the time when we start serving to coincide with when the kids leave the pool and are really hungry. So maybe like stagger it, not open at the exact same time that the pool opens, but a little bit later. The fireworks were great. I got to watch them from just outside my house and see the competing fireworks. That was fun. The Friday night market was really exciting. I ate a lot of fried food and delicious goodies that were there. And the LTC, we had an LTC meeting where it was kind of just a run-of-the-mill standard meeting, allocating a lot of funds, state funds to ESTA and funding for streets and sidewalks. The next one has been canceled. But yeah, our congressional earmark for $1 million has been dispersed to Caltrans. So we should have access to it and start working on the Lagoon Warren Street area soon.
Exciting.
I apologize to council for not making 4th of July in the park.
We didn't.
It's so much funner that we're not on Zoom. You used to be able to just mute Stephen there. Now it just keeps going. No, I apologize to the staff for not being able to make it. Did not have to go to Alaska. I went to Alaska and I watched cars launch off of a 300-foot cliff. That's they don't have, because there's no darkness there. Zero.
There were fireworks.
They launched. No. They launched cars off a cliff there next to a huge, well, it was gorgeous. And I'd like to put that on a future agenda and that we launch some cars off of here, off something. But other than that, I have nothing. I just wanted to say.
The Derby.
It's like a derby, but you know who wins these because are totaled. There's no question they're not going nowhere. So that was it for me. I want to thank you guys for everything, making this fun again.
We can launch them into your fountain.
Before this meeting, I attended most of the ESSRP, and there's a lot going on. July 17th to the 24th, there's a first annual walk from Long Valley to Mono Lake. It's called the, I'm going to mispronounce it, Kadzika Days, and it's a traditional walk. And they're going to also try and walk to Yosemite, but it's fire dependent. And Charlotte Long is coordinating that, and they're going to have traditional foods and crafts, and it's going to be a multiple day event. And they also, July 31st is a field trip. Everyone's invited if you want to check out the Donut Project up in Mammoth. Janet Hatfield is giving a tour of what they're doing up there for the project up there. The Donut Project, oh, it's the project. No.
Will there be donuts?
No, okay. It is, they're calling it the Donut Project because they're essentially thinning the forest around Mammoth Lakes, creating a donut-like thinning project. And so that's.
I saw that. It's like.
It's a huge project. And it's one of the major projects that the SCOG is participating in. And anyway, so they're doing a field trip up there just to see kind of what they're working on. Janet is also heading up the Citizens Wildfire Academy on July 18th, talking about the Donut Project. And then the next Citizens Wildfire Academy in August is going to discuss home hardening and defensive space. And Mono County and actually just Mono County received a $150,000 grant and also a $100,000 grant from Caltrans for Camp Like a Pro. And it's working because in 2020 and 2021, they had all these terrible, like just illegal camping near Grant Lake and fires. And then this 4th of July weekend, it was just nothing. They had a much mellower experience. So they were really happy that this program is working. And the last thing before I had to leave was the ESSRP is looking for a full grant for $105,000 so they can continue for another 3 years. And they're looking at that from the Sierra Nevada Conservancy so they can continue the meetings for the regional collaboration that they've been doing. And then I had to leave. So, because we had closed session. So that is it. We have no meeting July 25th. So hopefully everyone has a nice holiday and we will reconvene here at the council chambers August 8th at 6 p.m.